Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is Saturday, March 25th, 2023, and I completed another 10K distance, which is 6.22 miles. I actually went 6.25 miles, and of that distance, I went 4.2 miles in my Brooks Glycerine 19s. Now, those are the shoes that I showed at the beginning of this clip. And if you want to know about them, the first thing I want to tell you is that these are shoes that I should not have had. I originally bought these shoes to use in a 5K in last year's rock and roll marathon. And when I purchased the shoes, they were supposed to be, it was claimed that they would be delivered by a certain date. And I would receive those shoes with plenty of time to test them out at least a few times before I actually use those in the real deal. And as any person will tell you who has participated in a marathon or a short marathon like a 5K or a 10K or anything like that, they'll tell you that you need to purchase your gear well in advance. That way you can try it out and make sure that there will be no surprises. So this particular shoe, when I purchased them, they said they were going to get to me on a certain date. And as the days clocked by, and as it became more and more apparent that these shoes would not be delivered on time, I contacted the merchant. And the merchant is a well-known establishment. Let's just say that they're a mart that is made of walls. And when I contacted the merchant, the vendor for this merchant, because I bought them online on their website, the vendor for the merchant sent me an email saying, these are going to be arriving to you just as promised. Well, 2 days up until that delivery date that was supposed to occur, I recognized that this wasn't going to be the case. So I went out and bought a different pair of shoes after submitting my cancellation request, which I was able to do online. Now, the cancellation request said that it had been received and it would be addressed. And I figured it would be addressed because the day that I asked about the delivery of these shoes, I was told within probably about 10 minutes, you're going to receive these shoes on time. Don't worry about it. And so when I put in my cancellation request and emailed the same request to the vendor who was selling on that merchant's website, I didn't receive anything back, but I figured, well, maybe by tomorrow they'll go ahead and cancel the order, as I had submitted the cancellation request and as I had already purchased another pair of shoes, which happened to be the Glycerine 20s. If you look at my reviews, you'll see that I already provided a review on those shoes. The Glycerine 20s, I like them very much. Glycerine 19s, the order, not only was it not canceled, but 2 days later, I was sent an email that said your order has shipped. And basically that kind of it was a disheartening message, basically, because I had already requested that the order should have been canceled. On the same day that I received an email that said the order has been shipped, I also got another email from the same merchant for that vendor, or vendor for the merchant, however you want to put it, and the message said, hey, we couldn't cancel your order because it was already in the process of being delivered, which was not the case. But as with the situation in much of the country right now, in much of our nation, it seems that the customer's request will only be honored if it behooves the merchant or the vendor, for that matter. So I ended up receiving that pair of shoes. I was able to go 4.2 miles in those shoes today before developing some hot spots on the bottoms of my feet, which has happened several times with that same pair of shoes that came from a vendor who maybe didn't act in the best interest of the consumer. And so on my channel, quite often, I talk a lot about different energies and frequencies and, vibrational energy, things that a lot of people would say would be a new age type, new age language, just kind of the same way that someone might look at the guitars behind me and go, oh, you're practicing, some kind of sorcery because you have a guitar that has this design on it, or you have a guitar that has some kind of alien being on it, or even your poster that has that Day of the Dead looking, theme to it. Well, if you're a fan of music, and if you came up in the era that I came up in, you're probably going to not be so judgmental about some of the things. You might even see the little speaker, the headphone stand behind me over my shoulder that is the Lady Justice, the blindfolded Lady Justice, that probably ties into a theme that has a lot to do with a band that some of you might actually regard as a pretty impressive band, or at least they have been throughout time. I can't really vouch for their current music because each of the new songs that I heard when I started to play them, I didn't really even want to listen to the end of the songs. They weren't my style, I guess. Anyway, the whole point of what I'm saying here is that I put in another 6.25 miles. I'm well on my way to hopefully completing my objective, depending on how my feet recover. I had to switch shoes at 4.2 miles, probably sooner. I probably should have switched my shoes sooner. And I switched to my Dia de los Muertos shoes by Adidas. And I ended up finishing up my distance, and I put in 6.25 miles. And just as a heads up, those shoes right now are $48 on the Adidas website in limited amounts of sizes. And as much as I enjoyed them at $68, $48 is even more of a steal. Shipping, it said, was $3 for that pair of shoes. They have free returns for exchanges. Although in this particular shoe, I don't know that you'll be able to buy the shoe and then return them with any of the shoes being still in stock by the time they receive them back. They're at such a great price right now. With everything that's going on in the world, I know that it might sound kind of laughable that I'm doing all these things and that I'm talking about so many different things, and it sounds like I might be critiquing so many different things, but overall, the main thing is that I am just trying to improve my own overall well-being. And in order to do that, I had to slow the tempo down so that I could tend to my own self in a way that made sense. And so some of you who are listening, you might be friends, you might be family members, you might just be strangers altogether, and you might feel like you've connected with someone who's not a stranger at all. And I hope that in all cases you're having a magnificent day, and that the sun is shining and the plants are blooming and there's adequate rainfall. I know there are some tumultuous times going on nationwide, and I share in your concerns, and I absolutely pray for all of you. I hope that you're enjoying all of the opportunities that you have to celebrate life with one another together, and I hope that you're having a great day. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.